During the Ad Limina visit, we come to the tombs of the apostles Peter and Paul, and today to the altar of Blessed John XXIII, while celebrating a Mass in honor of Blessed John Paul II. To draw inspiration and courage from the faithful witness of these shepherds of the flock, each of whom, St. Peter and St. Paul and Blessed John Paul II, each of whom shed their blood in witness to the gospel. Blessed John Paul II, in his book, Rise, Let Us Be on Our Way, which is his reflections on his ministry as bishop, quotes these words of Cardinal Stefan Wyszynski. Being a bishop has something of the cross about it, which is why the Church places the cross on the bishop's breast. On the cross, we have to die to ourselves. Without this, there cannot be the fullness of the priesthood. To take up one's cross is not easy, even if it is made of gold and studded with jewels. All of us bishops have experienced the suffering of the cross, which is involved in proclaiming the truth of the gospel. Today, the citizens of North Carolina are voting in a primary election and considering an amendment to our state constitution defining marriage as the union between one man and one woman. We are the last state in the South to consider a marriage amendment. Bishop Burbidge and I publicly supported the traditional definition of marriage, and we faced criticism and, in fact, adamant opposition over the past few months from some sectors of our society. And when I shared with another bishop my sadness over this criticism because of our support of something so beautiful and foundational to society as traditional marriage, he encouraged me by saying, "Wear it as a badge of honor." We know the lines in the sand are drawn not only on this issue of the definition of marriage, but also on other issues: religious liberty, the defense of the right to life of the unborn, and that the bishop is called upon to be a courageous witness to the gospel. In his book, once again, Rise, Let Us Be on Our Way, John Paul II again quotes these words from Cardinal Wyszynski on the courage that is needed to be a successor of the apostle. And Cardinal Wyszynski wrote, "Lack of courage in a bishop is the beginning of disaster. Can he still be an apostle? Witnessing to the truth is essential for an apostle, and this always demands courage. The greatest weakness in the apostle is fear. What gives rise to fear is lack of confidence in the power of the Lord. This is what oppresses the heart and tightens the throat. The apostle then ceases to offer witness. Does he remain an apostle?" End quote. So this courageous witness to the truth, I think, beautifully describes the ministry of St. Peter, whose tomb we visited yesterday, and St. Paul, whose tomb we will visit tomorrow, and also Blessed John Paul II, courageous witness to the truth. And it's good to remember those words from the Acts of the Apostles, after the apostles had been flogged by the Sanhedrin for proclaiming Christ. St. Luke tells us, "The apostles left the Sanhedrin full of joy that they had been judged worthy of ill treatment for the sake of the name. Day after day, both in the temple and at home, they never stopped preaching and proclaiming the good news of Jesus the Messiah." And as shepherds in our respective dioceses, we do ask for the grace to never stop preaching and proclaiming the good news of Jesus the Messiah. we bishops realize that we have to set the tone in our own diocese. People look to us for leadership, and we have to set the tone in the spirit. And so we need to be men of prayer. We need to be men after the Lord's own heart, to have that intimate union with Christ, seeking him with all our heart. And as I reflect on the life of Blessed John Paul II, I see that in this, being a man after the heart of the Lord, we see a beautiful example in the ministry of John Paul II, because he definitely, we know, was a man of prayer, eager to serve the Lord. And when I think of him, I think of these examples of prayer that he inaugurated Eucharistic exposition in this Blessed Sacrament Chapel, not far from where we're celebrating Mass right now, to be a continuous prayerful support during his many pastoral journeys around the world in the cause of Christ. He saw the primacy of prayer and inaugurated that continuous daily Eucharistic exposition and prayer. We can never forget the memorable impressions we have of him being absorbed in prayer. Even during public liturgies, with so much going on, he would be in prayer, whether it be a papal Mass or during a procession of the Blessed Sacrament on the Corpus Christi, or many other occasions. He was demonstrating to us an example of prayerful communion with Christ, union with the Lord. In his book, he tells us that every meeting he had with people was a moment of prayer. I simply pray for everyone every day, he wrote. As soon as I meet people, I pray for them. And this helps me in all my relationships. In his book, he also says that in his chapel, his prie-dieu was filled with slips of paper containing the names of people that he wanted to remember in prayer. And at times he would open up the top of a prie-dieu and just leaf through those pieces, slips of paper, to remind himself of the intentions that he had placed there. Prayer, his strong inclination to contemplative prayer, led him to the writings of the great Carmelite mystic, St. John of the Cross. And so, Blessed John Paul II, whom we honor today in this Mass, teaches us by his example about the power of prayer for fruitful ministry, to be a courageous witness to the gospel, all founded and rooted in our communion with Christ in prayer. During these days of our Ad Limina pilgrimage, we have the opportunity for prayer and renewal. Every day, of course, every one of us bishops is already carrying all the faithful of our diocese in our hearts as we go about our daily work. But these days of our pilgrimage give us a special opportunity to pray for our diocese at the holy shrines here in Rome. May we be renewed in our commitment to Christ and to his church during these days, and may we also be renewed in our commitment to the faithful proclamation of the Lord's gospel.